Hi, I'm Heather from Stamps by Judith and Heather, and today I'm just going to show you a little bit of free flow stamping, kind of like free thinking, using the E-88 stickweed and throwing in the C29 sprig. And we're just going to have a little fun and roll with it, so we'll see what happens. Okay, today we're going to do a little, I kind of call free flow stamping instead of free thinking. I'm going to just start off with my E-88 stickweed and a hunter green ink pad. Show you how to make a simple heart wreath with this one, with basically 8 stickweeds. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then I'm going to turn my stickweed around, go back on top the opposite direction. And that kind of fills it in. And it's still a little boxy at this point, but we're going to cross the angles and that'll start to soften it. And that softens it. And then you can take anything you want. I usually have sitting next to me my whole box of well-loved sticks and stubbies. Those are probably my favorites. And I'm just going to grab out of here. We'll start off with the poinsettia. It's that little guy up there. A single one, but I'm going to take it and stamp it multiple times. Kind of create a little bit of a puff flower. So we do that. Clean it off, water on paper towel. Let's see, I'll grab this leaf. Oops, wait. Before I do that, I'm going to grab a little solid flower. Help pull the color around the wreath a little bit. It's just making it so the purple's not so isolated. But you don't want to have purple every half inch all the way around the wreath because it would be too overwhelming. Okay, now we go into our fade out leaf. This is a newer image. Do that. Not every flower has to have a leaf, and not every leaf has to have a flower. Grab my dots. That's not my dots. There we go. Dots. Add my dots. And that softens it. Okay, I'm going to take the same hunter green ink pad and the same stickweed. I'll start off by creating a tent. So I have 1 at the top, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then trying to keep it kind of even across the bottom. There's my little tree. So you can start off the same process. So you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I'm going to bring one down the center this time, like that, and fill in the sides. And I got a hanging swag, but I'm going to take my C29 sprig and make this just a little bit fuller. Kind of softens it a little bit as well. There's that. Okay, so we have a tree out of the stickweed, the swag out of the stickweed, 2 images, my tree. I'm going to take a fine line, I like a fine line pilot pen, and I do my wire first. That way I don't have to worry about connecting anything, getting uptight, thinking I have to connect every light bulb, anything like that. Oops. But the first thing we want to do, since we have a wire, we're going to take this little stamp and make sure it works. It's a little electrical plug. Otherwise our lights aren't going to work. I grab my solid light bulb. I just cleaned it off. I'm going to start at the top of my tree with the yellow light bulb. 3, 4, 5. There's my star. And then I'm just going to stamp lights all over this thing. Don't have to all be touching a wire. We understand the principle behind it. In fact, when we decorate our trees at Christmas, a lot of times we try to hide the wires so we're not seeing them all. So I'm going up the color scale on the rainbow pad. I'm not cleaning between images either. As long as I'm going light to dark, I don't worry about it. There's my tree. This one over here can take something. Here's a new little 3 flower stamp. Stamp it a couple times so I get little clusters of flowers. I'm stamping between the blues and the purples so I get a little bit of a blend of color. And this one, if you want your colors to blend closely, you can snap your rainbow pad together and it's a solid rainbow pad. I usually just keep mine apart, bounce between the two. Take something smaller. Here's a little fuzzy flower top. Go between the purple and the red. Stamp it off a couple times so we get dimension. And you can take a solid leaf, and I'm just grabbing in my well-used bucket of stamps next to me and not even really paying too much attention to what I'm grabbing. So it's not like you have to think a lot. Then I'm going to take, this is just a dark blue marker, draw a bow, or you can glue a bow up here. To draw a bow, it's just a series of loops. If you don't want to do that, we do have kind of a new bow stamp that's similar to this. That, and then to finish both of these off, go back to our dot stubby in blue, and that softens it. While I'm at it, if you want to have something more than just the soft dots in blue, you take your dots over here and you can slam them down. Forget the softness. We'll go with slamming and grab a leaf. and you have a flower. That's another idea for your stickweed. Continue along with that same stickweed. And again, back to our hunter green ink. Kind of running out of room when you free flow stamp, things can get messy. I'm going to take my stickweed and just create some loops like that. Turn my stamp around. Back on top the opposite direction again. Let's see, what do I want to use this time? How about the rose? It's kind of a classic one. Red. Think odd numbers. There's 5 roses. Let's see. It's a fuzzy flower top between the blues and the purples. Okay. And I'm taking and actually kind of rotating this when I stamp so it fills it in. One more right there. And then leaves. I think I've got all my leaves out so far. Let's see. Which one do we want to use? Well, we'll grab that one again, the little 3 leaves stamp. Add those. You have a very pretty garland. And our dots. So close up my hunter green ink. So we have that. I'll take my same stickweed. I'm going to stamp it in the blue section of the rainbow pad. Stamp 8 blue stickweeds. This is going a little outside our box, but that's okay. There's 8 blue stickweeds, and we have lovely snowflakes that, since where we are, we're coming into spring and summer, and actually more summer. But we don't want to think of these things, so we will switch it up a little bit and take a red stickweed and fill in the gaps, re-inking every time so it's first generation bold fresh ink. And there's our 4th of July fireworks burst. You can take something like this. And let's see. We'll grab a snowflake, little bursty thing. And my dots. I always try to keep the dots set off to the side and not in my messy mix of stamps around me. And there's big fireworks explosion. Or if you drew a stick coming off of it, it could be a sparkler. I'm going to take a piece of paper and create a very expensive tool. got this torn edge of a piece of paper. Our stickweed. Stamp stickweeds. You can vary the height. And if you want to mix and match foliages, we'll put some sprigs in there. Do that. And there's little grass. And you can really get carried away. Here again is a snowflake. But where we took a foliage and made a snowflake and a fireworks, this time we're going to take a snowflake. By stamping it once, it's a snowflake. Rotate it, stamp it a couple times, and it becomes a flower. So you can do that. Switch to something small again. I like to vary my sizes. Let's see. And we'll throw something else in there. Here's a little ivy leaf. Stamp it multiple times. Things just become different when you change up how many times you stamp. Okay, there's one more thing I want to show you. That's this little flower pot. Stamped it in black. Basically, I wanted to show you quickly putting the stickweed in it and coloring it. Two colors of tombos. One is a golden orange and one is a red. I'm going to start off coloring my flower pot with the golden orange, and then I'm going to tap it to the tip of my red to pick up the red, enhance my orange, and then I'll take the red and add the deep shadows under the lip and things like that. The right lids back on the right markers. Put some dirt underneath this. And speaking of markers, you can take and change some of these gardens up, make them look a little more watercolored. Sorry, switched thoughts. Adding some green and blue and the same brown, and it kind of gives it more of a watercolor look, very simply with the markers. You don't have to have paints or brushes or anything like that. You can achieve the same look with the watercolor markers, the tombos. I'm going to take, back to my flower pot, take a piece of paper, cover up my flower pot, take my stickweed. You can make these as wild and crazy coming out of your pots as you'd like. I have escapee down there. And you can take something, anything. This is a new open 3-leaf stamp. Add your leaves. Switch up to something else. This is the little 3 dots stubby. Or stubby, excuse me, 3 dots stick. And then you take your dots stubby. Again, we have dots around these things. Oh, and I know I said that was the one last thing, but I do want to show you where I used the little, I lost it, 3-leaf stamp to make a flower. You can also take this 3-leaf stamp and just use it for its own kind of foliage, create kind of a bed of leaves. Almost looks like a hosta a little bit. And take, again, a little flower. Red. You can create a simple corner for the edge of a card or something like that. And that just gives you a few fun ideas using the stickweed. Oops, this way, the stickweed and the stickweed. If you liked this video, you can always subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can find us on our website at stampsbyjudith.com, where we have many other samples and ideas, and we have all the videos posted there as well. You can also go to our Facebook page at Stamps by Judith, where we will post sales and ideas and other things, and just check us out and have fun stamping.